Hey, what's up? How's it going, you top 10 nerd fans? It's the one, the only, the invincible Dewey Stewart. Just kidding, I'm not actually invincible, but I'm not far off. Speaking of which, you know who actually has earned the title? The one, the only, the invincible Iron Man. But he hasn't become the awesome guy he is today without the help of close family and friends by his side, most of them being superheroes themselves. So without further ado, today I count down the top 10 superheroes Iron Man respects. Starting us off at number 10, we have Hawkeye. In Stan Lee's Tales of Suspense number 57, released in September of 1964, we have the very first appearance of Hawkeye, aka Clint Barton. We begin the issue finding Hawkeye attempting to prevent and stop a burglary. Unfortunately, he fails at catching the thief who does escape, but not with any loot. So, he's a good guy, right? Well, probably not to the police who are about to show up on the crime scene with no one but Hawkeye there. So, Hawkeye goes to make his escape just when he is picked up by the once evil villain, Black Widow. Black Widow takes Hawkeye back to her estate and convinces Hawkeye to help her bring down Iron Man with his incredible archer skills. Later, Hawkeye gets to try out some of his new fancy arrows tipped with a chemical to quickly rust the Iron Man suit. When he does try them out on Iron Man, the metal-clad Stark is forced to flee due to all the damage Hawkeye's fancy chemical arrows have caused. Needless to say, this first battle impressed Stark greatly. Later on in Stan Lee's Avengers number 16, Iron Man has another run-in with Hawkeye when he breaks into the Avengers mansion. Tony, knowing the great skill and knowledge of this archer, and after some discussion and a dazzling audition by Hawkeye and his bow, Tony accepts Hawkeye's application. The Avengers add just one more sharp, highly trained adventurous fighter to their mighty Avengers clan. Now, okay, imagine getting hired for a job by the invincible Iron Man / Tony Stark. Maybe I don't have to. Maybe my boss here at Nerd Top 10 is Tony Stark. That's right, Tony, you heard me. Come on out. Tony? Okay, maybe I'm lying, but either way, we can all trust that Iron Man definitely respects Hawkeye. At number 9, we have everyone's favorite long-haired Asgardian god of thunder, Thor. Not too long ago in 2018, Jason Aaron's Avengers number 1 brought us the return of Earth's mightiest heroes, the Avengers. The Avengers have gone through some really tough battles, but also tough times in between battles. We start this book off with Thor, Tony Stark, and Steven Rogers catching up over a drink. All of them talk about their life issues that they have been fighting since no longer working together. Thor was deemed unworthy of his hammer, Steve was replaced by an evil version of himself, and Tony was in a coma. These guys have had a pretty tough go, needless to say. But how does the old saying go? There is strength in numbers. After chatting and catching up, it is Steve's idea to reassemble Earth's mightiest heroes, although Tony isn't sure about all this. Finally, it is Thor who uses his charm and humbleness, stating that the three of them need each other and now more than ever. This is enough to change Tony's mind, and just in the nick of time, as Earth right after is invaded by 2,000-foot tall space gods known as Celestials. With all of that, we see our once down and out friends returning to save the world after those two fateful words are ordered by Captain America. Avengers, assemble! Good on you, Thor. You made the Tony Stark change his mind. Respect, bro. At number 8, we have a duo, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Going way back to the 1968 Avengers number 16, written by the infamous Stan Lee, we see the induction of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver into the Avengers. They weren't always part of the good guys, though. Some of you may know that there was a time when Scarlet Witch and her brother Quicksilver were actually members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. In the same issue as mentioned earlier, Tony accepts Hawkeye into the Avengers, and they then hold a press conference stating that they are looking for new recruits as some members are looking to take a leave of absence. Upon hearing the news over in Switzerland, the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver decide to apply immediately. Once they arrive in the US, Quicksilver decides to add a little something to his application. He decides to race Tony's car back to Avengers Mansion while on foot. Quicksilver easily beats him and even stops to take a break so Tony can catch up. With their impressive powers being shown off, they are inducted into the Avengers clan and are some great replacements for Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, during his leave of absence. A brother and a sister duo? 2 for the price of 1? Hey, good pick, Tony. At number 7, we have the tough, mighty, indestructible, violent, strong, and incredibly tiny Ant-Man. In Nick Spencer's 2015 The Astonishing Ant-Man number 1, we find Scott Lang a down and out on his luck ex-con. For a long time, Scott struggled to find a job, but eventually ended up at Stark International. He proved himself quite worthy of the position after adapting the security system at the Avengers Mansion. He then later stole the Ant-Man gear to help save his daughter. Instead of Hank Pym chastising the desperate man, he decided to give him the Ant-Man suit and carry on the legacy of the Ant-Man hero. With that, He continued working with Tony Stark and also teamed up with him on more than one occasion. To get the respect of Tony Stark, you have to be quite clever and swift. Scott Lang is definitely both of these, and as you can tell, his heart is always in the right place, whether he's up to trouble or not. At number 6, we have one of the most respected people on Iron Man / Tony's lists, Rescue, aka Pepper Potts. Brought to life by the amazing Gwyneth Paltrow in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and only teased in the movies. Pepper was actually her own Iron person as well. In Tom Taylor's 2014 issue titled Superior Iron Man Volume 1 Number 9, we see Pepper take on the invincible Iron Man and put him in his place. After being outed as the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and failure after all of his tech was compromised from the Skrull virus, Tony stepped down as the head of Stark International and gave the title to his one and only Pepper Potts. Not only did he give her this awesome title, but he also gave her her very own iron armor suit, as well as thus beginning Pepper's career as Rescue. That allowed Pepper to upload a virus and hammer and then fight alongside the underground heroes in Secret Empire. Look at that. Pepper isn't just Tony's love interest. She is also a crime-fighting, awesome Iron Woman herself who can put Tony in his place in or out of the suit. So please, a little respect where it's due. Thank you, Tony. Coming in at our halfway point, another Iron person. At number 5, we have Iron Heart. In case you're not familiar with this character, back in 2016 in Brian Michael Bendis' Invincible Iron Man number 7, we see the young and incredibly intelligent Riri Williams after the events of Civil War II. Williams is a young teenager super genius who is inspired by Tony Stark, and she decides to make her own suit and start saving the world too. She is a hardworking and passionate young hero who the world grows to love. But not the entire world. In Eve Ewing's 2018 Ironheart, we see Riri suit up and help save a group of world leaders who are taken hostage by a famous Spider-Man villain. In this issue, we see Riri not only kick major butt, but also step out of the shadow of Tony Stark. Pretty crazy that this driven young woman got to not only work with her biggest hero, but also went on to become a hero for many young women and people around the world. Tony Stark's technology sure does make him a lot of money, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to the impact that he makes on others and the impact they continue to hand down with the rest of the world. Keep up the good work, Riri, and teach me how to be smart. At number 4, we have the infamous Black Widow. Iron Man and Black Widow have had a rocky relationship over the years, but nevertheless they have always had a solid friendship. There was even a short amount of time where they were romantically involved after a quite romantic trip to Russia to defeat Black Widow's former student and partner, Boris Bolsky. But it was very short, and please, Natasha Romanoff has way better things to do than be worried about some billionaire superhero hunk. Once upon a time, before Black Widow joined the Avengers and became one of Tony's closest allies, one of her assignments was to break into Stark Industries and assassinate Professor Anton Vanko, aka the Crimson Dynamo. However, she was defeated by Stark and after decided to defect from the KGB just like Vanko, thus starting the longtime friendship of Tony and Natasha. Since then, we have seen the two team up many times from comics to movies, and I think it's fairly obvious here that Tony definitely respects his longtime friend and partner. Starting us off in our top 3 spot is everyone's favorite webhead, Spider-Man. Hey, look, it's Spider-Man! Go get him, Spidey! Anyone else play the Spider-Man video games? No? Okay. That's right. With the recent movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, most people are well aware of the tight bond between Peter Parker and Tony Stark. For a brief time in the comics, not only was Stark friends and super colleagues with the Webhead, he was also the kind man who let Parker and his wife Mary Jane Watson live in Stark's Avenger Tower for a short period of time. Can you imagine having Iron Man as your landlord? Don't know if that would be like a great thing or a bad thing, but either way, Spidey, I got a question for you. How much was the rent and are utilities included? Was there ever a history of bugs in the building? And if you don't mind me asking, how quick is Tony with repairs and that sort of thing? Is he easy to get in contact with? Anyway, back on topic. In Amazing Spider-Man 529, we see Stark gift Peter the incredible Iron Spider suit, which sprouts mechanical arms, has the ability to camouflage, and helps him stay in constant contact with Tony. Spidey kept wearing this wicked awesome suit up until the battle in Civil War, where he then switched sides and decided to fight along Captain America instead of Iron Man and almost lost his life. All friendships always go through rough patches though, and sure enough, they do become pals again, but all the way throughout these events, Tony never loses respect for Peter. I wonder if I get Tony's respect if he'll make me a super awesome suit. What's that? Tony Stark isn't a real human. You know what? I disagree, because coming in at our number 2 spot is one you might not expect, Robert Downey Jr. I'm sure many of you have made the joke while watching this video that in the top 3 spots we have to have Tony respecting himself. Well, I think this is what you're looking for. Robert Downey Jr. first took up the Iron Man suit back in 2008, and all the way to the end of the Avengers Endgame, he played the comic book hero with honor, ease, and flair. But being a Hollywood actor doesn't make him a superhero. What he has done with the Iron Man image and money is what makes him a superhero to many. Not often reported, Robert Downey Jr. is actually quite an active philanthropist. He has donated large sums of money to organizations such as the Orca Network, and has launched other organizations like the Footprint Coalition, an organization dedicated to utilizing technology to help clean up and reverse the effects of global warming. Now that sounds like a real Tony Stark move. The Iron Man star also back in 2015 gifted 7-year-old Alex Pring with a special Iron Man bionic arm after he was born with only one part of his right arm. Pring was ecstatic and was given a memory he will never forget. Lastly, the amazing and late creator of Iron Man himself, Stan Lee, gave a quote at a Comic-Con event in Rhode Island a few years ago saying, "That man was born to be Iron Man." You know? Even though the character of Iron Man is indeed fictional, as I sadly learned earlier, one thing that is very much real is the heart of the character. So if Iron Man respects himself, then that includes Robert Downey Jr. too. Finally, coming in at our #1 spot is another superhero that you probably never thought of, Stan Lee. Thanks to Stan Lee, fans around the world of the Marvel comics, movies, TV shows, toys, and anything with the Marvel name on it have been inspired to be the best versions of themselves for decades, not excluding the Marvel cinematic actors themselves. I believe that's one of the best things a hero can do for people, and especially the world. Even most of the Marvel actors have gone on record to praise Lee for his incredible kindness, humor, and friendship. Such as Robert Downey Jr. at the 2019 People's Choice Awards. When accepting his award, he said, "Well look, I just got to come up here and open the show. So I'll just say thank you Disney, thank you Marvel, thank you Russo brothers, and most of all to the late great Stan Lee. This is for you, buddy." There you have it. Proof from Iron Man himself that he indeed respects Stan Lee. That has been our top 10 heroes that Iron Man respects. I hope you enjoyed the list. I know I did. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to Top 10 Nerd. I've been your host, Dewey Stewart, and until next time, in the name of the late great Stan Lee, Excelsior!